I'm Robin Bennett, for those that haven't met me, and Susan Briggs is the other person here. And we are the co-founders of the Dog Gurus. For those that have not done anything with the Dog Gurus, we are a pet care business and staff training company. Wait, does that say that right? Pet care business consulting and staff training company. We work with pet care businesses all around the world to help them launch, grow, and profit. So that's what we do. What we're going to talk about today is all about, now that it's summer and your staff is hopefully very busy working with all the dogs that you hopefully have reservations for over the busy summer season. But we want to help you talk about how your staff can help you to achieve your goals. And last week we actually did talk about some ideas you could do during the summer to generate more revenue. Parties came up, just add-on activities, special events, just those kinds of things that can help you while you're busy to grow some additional revenue with those clients that are coming in anyway. And what we want to talk about today is how to get your staff inspired to do some of those things. And we obviously rely on the staff to take care of the pets, but we also want the staff to be a part of your sales team and the sales culture. So we're going to talk about those kinds of things, just motivating your team, how to maybe incentivize them to do some add-on sales or talk to the clients about other activities that they might be interested in doing. So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, feel free to put those questions in the comments. And Cindy said she's doing well, so that's awesome. All right, so how do you want to start this off, Susan? I guess I'll throw it over to you.
Okay. I think I want to emphasize the language that you used, and I think it's important to focus on that as far as what you can do is inspire people to perform or to have more energy towards what they're doing, because motivation often comes from within. But if someone's inspired and aligned with you, then you will likely see more productivity. And so I like that word inspire, which means we probably have to do something that will inspire someone to want to help us with our mission. And that can't be help the business make more money, which means I'm going to make more money. That's not very inspirational. We work with a lot of businesses to really try to help them create a culture that's positive and team focused. And it really does start with a lot of communication about why you do what you do and why do you do it the way you do it. And then I like what you say is, if you're wanting them to go above and beyond, how can you incent and share the proceeds of the profits with them so that they feel like if they have extra effort and energy and help the business move forward, that there's something in it for them personally as well.
And I know we did a seminar on this topic, I don't know, a long time ago. And I remember part of that seminar, we talked about, it was actually your part of the seminar. You talked about identifying the qualities of a good leader. And I think that's a really important thing to remember is if we all think about, if you've worked anywhere, go outside of the pet care industry. If you've had a job in the past or you've worked with somebody, whether it was in high school or after high school, but I'm just thinking, think about, and this is what you had people do during the seminar too, Susan, you said, think about those leaders that really inspired you to want to show up and do the job and help out and just be a really good team player, and think about what were those qualities that person showed you. Maybe it was a mentor, maybe it was somebody in your family, maybe it was a person you were working for, maybe it was a teacher, but we all have those examples of, hopefully at least one of those examples of somebody that just really inspired you to do your best, to bring out the best version of you. And think about, why was that? Like what, and typically you're going to find it's people who showed you respect, showed you care, were in the trenches with you and wanted to really help you achieve the best that you can be. And not just from a work standpoint, but from a personal standpoint. Usually they're people that you felt really cared about you. And when you think about those people, then I would say, now think about your team and how they view you. and are you presenting yourself the same way to your team. And I will say that that can be a humbling experience to think about, that maybe you're not showing up the right way for them to be inspired. But that's where I think it needs to start, is what can you do yourself to help build that culture? Because the culture of your facility and that team that you have, that culture is going to start with you. It We could preach until we're blue in the face about all the things you can do to build a great staff culture, but it has to start with you. This is not something you can just take, oh, these 5 things, and if I do them well, but I really don't care about culture, I'm just going to go through the motions. The staff's going to know it, and it's not going to work. So that, I would really say, one of the first things is to really, if your culture isn't good, just really look at what your part is in it to fix it. And that might not be the only thing. There definitely might be some processes and procedures, and maybe even some employees that aren't the right fit. So we can change some of those things. But still, if you change those things, but you don't change yourself, it's still not going to work.
And I think one of the key things is that you talked about there is really knowing your team members and knowing them as individuals. So again, it's aligning their rewards with what is their language of appreciation. We've had sessions where we talk about not everyone likes attaboys, not everyone wants a gift card. Some people may want quality time with you. It starts with really knowing what people like and how they want to feel appreciation back. And when things are busy and they're putting in a lot of extra effort, that's when you've got to up your appreciation, reward, and recognition game.
Yeah, and I will say, certainly for me, I came from a military background, so that for those that haven't ever heard my stories about when I first got into the pet industry, which was 20
Couple
some
years.
years 20 some years ago now, I came to the pet industry right from the Marine Corps. And I was actually still in the Marine Corps at the time. And I will say that my leadership style worked really well in the Marine Corps, did not work at all in the pet industry. And so I routinely did stuff that worked really well in one area, i.e., the Marine Corps, but didn't translate at all into my pet care industry role with team members there. And I'm an officer in the Marine Corps, so I understood how to manage a team, but I did it with all the techniques I learned in the Marine Corps, which did not translate well. So I routinely would make people cry accidentally. I wasn't trying to make people cry. And I had to really change the way I related to my team members. But once I did, it was huge. But I was also very honest with them. So I did have that open communication to say, all right, so I realize that maybe what I'm doing isn't the best. So let me try to alter things I'm doing and have those conversations to be open with the team. But I think your team member needs to understand that you're working on changing some things too, so that it can be a two-way street of both of you respecting one another. I will say for my generation, I feel like, and this was true in the Marine Corps as well, like saying great job or showing that you really valued the work they were doing wasn't common. For my generation, I feel like we just expect people to do a good job and you don't really think about praising them for it. But I think that's so undervalued. And so a lot of times I'll hear owners go, they're doing their job. I shouldn't really have to go out of my way to be like, thanks for doing your job. That's what a paycheck's for. I will just say that you can have that attitude. I just don't think that's very effective. And I do think that understanding that your employees want to know that they're doing a great job, and they want to have that value shown to them in different forms depending on their personal preferences, I think is really important. And I think it's really underrated how number one, how easy it is. It's really easy to stop and recognize someone and say, that's a great job. Like, you did a wonderful job of cleaning those kennels today. They look great. I think that's so underrated in terms of us doing it. But then also, I think it's underrated how important it is to the employee who hears that too. So that's probably one of the biggest things I would really look at in terms of your overall culture, in terms of inspiring people to want to do better.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is setting up a culture to where it does feel like a team and people want to work side by side together. So it's fostering communication, stopping to have some fun and some laughs because we're working with pets and funny things happen every day, allowing people to share that. And that means you can't let the negative Nellies and the Debbie Downers bring the whole team down. And so that's where you have to be really careful where one bad apple can spoil your team environment, which will damage it to the point where your good people will leave. And so you've got to stay in tune with your frontline leaders to know what's going on and then take action quickly. You can try coaching, but a lot of the true Debbie Downers and negative Nellies, that's just ingrained in personality and can be hard to coach to improvement in my experience.
So Cindy said, and I think this is a great idea. We have each new employee fills out a sheet with likes and dislikes, their favorite things, how they like to be shown appreciation, whether it's publicly or privately, which I think is a great idea. And that's a form that you should build into your onboarding process. And it's just a simple form that gives that employee an opportunity to say, I love chocolate, or I really like sweet and
Starbucks.
sour, or Starbucks, which is what I would put on my sheet. Because then when you go to reward that person, it might be that you just pull out that sheet and go, wow, this person loves a Starbucks. So I'm going to give them a Starbucks gift card. Whereas someone else, I don't know why you wouldn't like Starbucks, but no, just joking. Someone else might not care about Starbucks gift cards at all. So you can't have that one size fits all. And what's great about that form is most people forget they ever filled it out. And when you give them like their favorite candy bar, they're, oh my gosh, this is my favorite candy bar. Like they forget they told me that 2 years ago when we hired them. So I think that's a great idea, Cindy. And then we had a really good question from Melody here that said, how do you suggest creating the best culture if you purchased an existing facility as a previous client and with great management as a part, and you're maybe a partially absentee owner? There's two issues there. One is just purchasing a facility where maybe there's already staff there, or maybe you came in as a general manager and there's already staff there. And then the other one is, how do you create that culture if you're an absentee owner? So there's two different issues there. But I'll start by saying what Susan just talked about is just identifying what you really want from your team. Like I would sit down and really go through that mental list of what does a great team member look like? And we can all do that. We know, think about your best employee. What are the attributes that person shows? Or that dream employee you want? What are the attributes that person shows? And then match that list against your current employees. And where are the gaps? When you find that person that's got a lot of gaps, that's the person you have to start considering maybe not having around. And again, you could try coaching, which we would always recommend initially, but if they're not a good fit, it's not going to help to keep them on too long. You can try to coach them a little bit, but at some point you have to say, okay, we've tried for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, and it's not changing. And sometimes that person has some really good attributes. This is one of the biggest things is we'll be like, they're really good at walking the dogs. So we don't want to get rid of them, but they have like toxic personality. They're always gossiping. They're always causing drama. Like then get rid of them, because the fact that they're really good at walking the dogs does not help when the team culture is being ruined. And that one toxic personality, like Susan said, can really affect your entire business. And we hear story after story when people finally bite the bullet and go, I'm just going to get rid of that one person, even though they're a good employee in many aspects, they're just not a good fit for our culture. They get rid of them, and immediately the whole entire culture shifts for the better. And we've heard so many stories that way that it's just proven time and time again, those toxic personalities are not helpful,
Well,
even when they might have good dog skills.
yeah, and you don't want to get to the point where some people we've talked to end up having to really turn over their whole team and start over to get the culture they want. And I would say, step back and say, especially if you're coming into the business and if you're a client of the business, you know what it was like to be the client. But I think you need to paint the picture of what is a day like for the client that comes to visit in your vision. So how do you want the client to be greeted and treated and said goodbye to? But then also, how do you want the day to go for the team members that come in? what should the day feel like? What's the energy level? And just really, you need to paint the picture that this is what you're you look to achieve the experience for not only the pet guests, but the clients and your team members. And that's really then getting people who share that vision and want to be a part of that and making it to become a reality, and then being open to when you fall short, what do you need to change so that you have that experience. And not every day is going to be sunshine and roses. We know working with pets, it's hard, and there's stressful days. However, having that picture and people knowing that this will pass and we can get back to that, and it means you can still work hard, but why not be able to have a few laughs and enjoy at the end of the day, even though you've worked really hard all day. So I think a lot of it is painting that expectation, and what you have as an expectation may be different than what came before you. And that's okay, because it's now your business and your vision. And the key thing is to get your management team on board to agree with you, and then bring the rest of the team with you.
Yeah, and then in terms of, first of all, I'm going to stop for a second. I'll come back to the absentee owner thing in a second, but somebody just asked if we had a copy of the form, and I can't find it, Susan. I was just looking for the form that we were using
Yeah.
for likes and dislikes. Can you pull that up? Because we could share it and maybe just go through what the questions are
Okay.
real
I'll,
quick, if
I'll
you
try.
can find it. I was looking for it, but I couldn't think of the name of it. But anyway, while you're looking for that, I was going to go back to the absentee owner question. And I do think it's harder if you are an absentee owner to make sure that your culture is strong. And I think even though you're an absentee owner or maybe partially absentee owner, you still have to make a effort to show up, whether it's on Zoom with your team members, certainly on Zoom with your key leadership staff, because they're really the ones that are going to create the culture you want. But you've got to show up with them and make some kind of intentional, I think, an intentional schedule of what that's going to look like, whether it's once a week or every other week. But it has to be with some frequency that they understand who you are and what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve, and then how you're partnering with your key leadership to make that happen. I also think that when you do show up, you probably have to spend a little more time doing, and the reason I bring this up is this is hard for me. Like this used to happen to me all the time. I got activated when I had my business. Let me just back up a second. So when I had my business, I was still in the Marine Corps initially, and I got activated after 9/11. So now I had my business and I was there every day. And then after 9/11, I got activated and I was no longer there every day because I had to go on into Quantico to Marine Corps, do my Marine Corps job. So I overnight literally became an absentee owner, which was not my plan. Luckily, I had a really good manager at the time who basically took the ball and ran with it. But what I started noticing was I already had a problem with this, and it became magnified when I got activated. And that is that when I would come to work, to me, when I'm maybe some of you are like this, but when I'm not doing anything, I feel like I'm just wasting my time. So to me, to come in and just sit around and chat with people seemed like a ridiculous waste of time. And so I used to come into work and then my staff would be like, "Why is Robin mad?" And I'd be like, "I'm not mad. Why do you think I'm mad? Because you just walked in and started working." And I was be like, "I started working because I have work to do. What do you mean?" But anyway, what I learned was they all valued just me coming in and walking around and talking to them about like, how was your day and what are the dogs doing? And I'm now like, I understand now the importance of that, but that took me a long time, like a ridiculously long time to learn that is not a waste of my time, because I am like uber efficient and I just like to be getting stuff done that I can check off my schedule. But just sitting around and chit chatting is what I was looking at. I was like, that just seems like I'm wasting my time. Was not a waste of time. It was magnified tremendously when I got activated and I wasn't around as much anyway. So when you're an absentee owner, the whole point of that story was when you're an absentee owner, I think you have to go make a lot stronger of an effort to be involved with who your team is and what they like and what their needs are, not just from the business standpoint, from them personally. and making sure that you have built systems that allow you to do that, even if you're not present there day in and day out. So coming up with some kind of systems where you do still get to know, especially your key team, your key leaders, your general manager, or any kind of team leads that you have, becomes really important. And when you do show up in town or in the business, you have to really make an effort to make sure you're building those relationships. So that would be the biggest thing I would say. I don't know, Susan, if you have other things to add
I
regarding
think
that.
is you have to do a lot of communication with your management team. And so setting up regular calls and meetings, and then how do you check up on what's going on with the culture when you're not there? That's probably the hardest thing, but possibly it's occasionally chatting to some other people that aren't part of management, or if you're local, dropping in. But we know we have members who we have our newest member, Profit Network, her business is in Kansas and she lives in Florida. So it's a little harder. If that was me, I would probably be doing customer satisfaction surveys on a pretty regular basis, and also some type of employee engagement surveys, just to keep tabs on culture if I'm not local.
Yeah, and then Samantha was agreeing with me. Samantha said I have too much work to do. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But I will say the value of taking the time to have those conversations to, and I started just putting that on my calendar to say when I go into the office on, this was when I had my pet care facility, when I go into the office on whatever day, I just blocked out a time that was like, this is the time I'm going to walk around and check on people. And so it became built in. I had to build it into my systems because it didn't come naturally to me. But what I did find is some of the best ideas for my staff, what some of the best changes we ever made to things that we were doing, processes that we were doing, came from those casual conversations where you're just sitting around. And we all know that, right? It's the whole idea of standing around the water cooler and talking about things, where you have create a culture that you're not just standing around the water cooler griping about things, but good things come out of those conversations too. So in addition to getting to know those staff member and really understanding them and learning who they are so that they know you care about them, but also just the ideas that they'll bring to you because they have a closer relationship with you are huge too.
Right.
So
So I pulled up our form. It's just called My Favorite Things. And you can, and we had some input from some of our coaches on this. And you could make this your own. So it would have the staff member's name, their birthday, which is month and day. You don't have to do year. And then spouse or significant other's name, if there's an anniversary related to that, children's name and birthdays, and pet names and birthdays. And so that's just to get started. And then just ask, what would you like as an incentive for doing a great job? So an example would be a gift card to a favorite restaurant, store, etc. Favorite candy, drink, favorite type of food, favorite color, favorite pizza, favorite restaurant, very favorite charity or nonprofit. Some people would love to have donations in their name to their favorite charity. Favorite breakfast. This would be in case you bring in breakfast for everybody. Favorite drink from Starbucks. You could tell that we've been heavily influenced with the Starbucks factor in our company. Things you collect, hobbies you like, and then just a fun question, one thing nobody knows about you. So that's what it fits on one page. It's just a little form, and it's something fun. And actually, what's been interesting, we've done that for our coaches, and our coaches have asked, they wanted to see this from other coaches so that they could, when they wanted to thank a coach for maybe helping them out with a client, they could refer to the favorite things and send them something they would like. So it was really fun.
yeah, and they have, because we're a virtual company, so we have on there, like I'm looking at I was searching for likes because I thought it was in the title, but then I searched for favorite and I found them once you said the name of it. But we have, I'm looking at one of the people had favorite restaurants. So if we wanted to send a gift card to her, we could send a gift card to the restaurant that she goes to or that she likes. And then I think that would be better than just sending like a generic, hey, here's a generic Carrabba's gift card if she didn't put Carrabba's on her list. But I think it just helps you really to do a really good job of rewarding your staff with stuff that they really would find valuable. This person had on there liking as an incentive. One of the things she put was a cute journal, which I think is cool because I would have never thought to just buy someone a journal randomly. But and now that I think about it, she does actually write all the time in journal and takes notes and stuff. So that hopefully that helps. But yeah, it's just a simple form. And you could probably think of other things. If you routinely go to the breakfast one is a common example, but if you routinely go like to get pizza or you go to get donuts in the morning or pastries or whatever, if that's just part of what you do anyway, then write on there, what are your favorite kind of donuts? So that when you go to the donut store, you're going to get donuts that everybody likes. And it's not, I just like to get what I like, but you want to make sure you're getting what your team likes too.
Yeah,
So
our coaches, one of them did, what is your favorite breakfast taco? Of course, they were in Texas, so that was like a big thing. And so, again, being able to get the favorite breakfast tacos for everybody that's working is just huge. That extra effort is huge payback.
So hopefully that gives you those give you a few ideas of just number one, looking at yourself. Do you need to maybe monitor the way or adjust the way that you're relating to your team? Are there goals? And that was like 90% of what I needed to do, to be honest. What are those things that you might want to change about how you're currently interacting with your team members that would make an improvement? And again, that just taking an honest look at yourself to say, what role do I play? And then start looking at what you can do to be the best leader possible, because people follow leaders that are motivating to begin with and ones that care. So making sure that you're showing that. And if you have to build processes in to make sure you're able to do that, then that's what I would be looking at is what can you do to make sure that you're not just going through the motions, but you are actually setting up a way that you can learn more about your team members and not just have somebody else tell you what is so and so like. You want to actually have those conversations. So taking those action steps would be the starting as a way of building your culture. But then the other thing is, I would talk to your staff about what they want to see. Maybe there's things that they want to see different in the way you're doing things, and might be process improvements, but it might just be how the schedule comes out. Maybe they want it to come out on Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays or whatever. But not that you're necessarily going to do every single thing they want, but I would have those conversations with your team to find out. And maybe it is an anonymous survey, but you're trying to find out from them, where do they think that improvements can be made? Because you may get some really good ideas from them as well about how you can change your culture. And again, all of this is just to help you get a team that's wanting to help you reach the same goals your business has that you've set, but you want them to work with you. On top of that, we did talk a little bit about going above and beyond. So all we've talked about so far is really just getting team members that are doing their job in a way that is fun for them, fun for the clients, fun for the team, the rest of the team, but they're essentially doing the goals that you've set out as a business owner. But then there's also, what do you do to incentivize them to do more? And we can talk a little bit more about setting goals. And we talked a little bit about it last week about setting goals for certain contests you can have, just depending on shifts or depending on a goal to sell a certain amount of things or get a certain number of bookings or whatever it is. But you can also, I would build your basic culture first before you start doing a lot of the incentivizing stuff. That would just be me personally. But there's two different culture things that we want to focus on.
Robin, I can't come there and do the Heimlich. I'm going to have to call Greg.
I know. I have to drink some water.
But you can do this. It just depends on how close you are to where you want to be. But it's something that you and your management team have to focus on and make time for. Build into the budget. It can be great to give your managers like a budget every month of awards they can give, either cash, time off, a lot of things we talked about on the favorite things. You have to build it into the budget. And like Robin said, it does need to be systemized, even a lot of the recognition and all that. Otherwise, you get busy in the day-to-day and the fires, and it doesn't happen. So make it a system. That's really important. And right now, keeping the employees you love is priority number one. So it's important to get that as part of your system. Can you talk now,
Yes,
Rob?
Samantha said we do paw bucks, which I love that too. So you can have a monetary pot, and we do this in our budget. We have a line item for employee appreciation that goes in our budget every year, and that can be distributed. However, I love the idea that you just said, Susan, where maybe you have a monthly amount or a quarterly amount to use for employee appreciation stuff, and then your managers decide how to use that. And that would be, a lot of people talk about bonus, like end of the year bonuses, and there's a role for that too. You might want to give end of the year bonuses, but employee appreciation is more of just some smaller things that you can do throughout the year for whatever. Somebody does a great job, or somebody goes above and beyond and does something that just was totally unexpected, or just really makes a client happy, or whatever it is. Maybe they really are appreciated by the other staff members or whatever. So there's those kinds of rewards. And then there's also rewards where maybe we've seen team members, or seen facilities that set up where team members can reward each other, and you can earn points or paw bucks for doing things that other people recognize. And then you can trade those points in to do some kind of a drawing, or grab something out of a box of prizes or whatever. So there's those types of incentives as well, which again are just basic culture building ideas.
Yeah.
So hopefully that all gives you some ideas of what you can start working on. If you have questions, definitely send us an email, or you can also join our Facebook group, which I will put the link in the comments section. I know there's a lot of people in our Facebook group that do different ideas and activities for building a culture that's fun and creative, and just some of them are amazing ideas that they really focus on just the team building for their entire staff, and it shows. These are also, generally speaking, built facilities that have amazing staff, that have longevity and great teamwork and great support, a support network. And that doesn't come without work. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is it doesn't, that when you have a tiny team, it's just one or two of you, and usually the owner is one of those people, then it's a little bit easier to do, because it's just a very tiny, small community. But when you start building a team of 15, 20, 40, 50, it it doesn't happen naturally without some focused effort on the owner's part, and usually your general manager as well. So we do have a Facebook group. You can get in there and ask questions or ideas from other people. You can learn from how other people are doing some of the team building. And like Susan said, I think now more than ever, team building is huge, because you want a team that's going to be with you for a while, especially now when staff rates are going up. So training a new staff member gets a lot more expensive, and just the turnover of staff is just burns you out. So if you have really good employees, you want to do all you can do to keep them with you and not have that high turnover. And that is possible, but it does take effort on your part to make that happen and to build that good team culture. Because like Susan said, a really poisonous or toxic team, you will lose really good employees because they don't want to deal with that. So they'll just leave, and they might be the best employees you have, which you don't want them to leave. So you definitely want to look at your team culture overall, especially now during the summer season, where you really do need those team members around. But join us in the Facebook group. If you have questions, people will be happy to answer questions for you, or just find out how other people are doing things. Our only two rules for the Facebook group are: you have to be nice, and you can't sell stuff in there. But otherwise, it's a great group of people. Do you have any last minute comments, Susan, before we go? We ran over a little bit.
No, but just make it fun. I had fun. One time we did milkshakes, and we made milkshakes, and it was messy. We had milk and ice cream everywhere, but it was probably one of the more fun things we did that people really appreciated. It was hot in the summer, and we just got a milkshake machine, made milkshakes for everybody. So it doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it's the effort that you put in, and they see you there taking care of them and serving them, and that
I was
makes
at I was at I was at Costco the other day, Susan, and I wish that I had seen this when you guys were out here, because Susan and a couple other people came out to my house. We had a little like retreat weekend the other weekend, and they had this ice cream party in a box, and
oh,
it was like everything you need except for the ice cream. It's like everything you needed to have an ice cream party. So it was like 7 or 8 different kind of toppings and spoons. It was really cool. I was totally like, "I gotta get this," even though I don't need to be having an ice cream party, but it'd just be me and my husband. But I was like, "I wish I'd have had this last week when you guys were out here." But I think it would be a great thing to do for an employee appreciation where it's all basically done for you. You just to go buy the ice cream. And food trucks are really popular right now, just getting food trucks to come out. And if you're in, like, I was in a shopping center, 2 my first 2 facilities were in a shopping center where I could have actually gone to the other places next to me, and I'm sure we could have all chipped in to say, "Hey, let's all get a food truck and come out," and we would have had a ton of business. But even if you're in a standalone facility, you can have those food trucks come out and serve food to your staff, or have let your staff go out and order something from the food truck, which is also pretty easy.
Yeah.
Samantha just said party at Robin's house. Yes, exactly, Samantha. We're gonna
So
have ice cream.
your favorite food truck, local food truck, and then you could rotate through so everybody's local food truck comes by.
The other thing that's big are those boards, the charcuterie boards,
Yeah.
which we did get one of those when everyone was out, but those are hugely popular right now, and they can be done either yourself if you're even the slightest bit creative, or they can be fairly low cost for the amount of people that they'll serve. So that's another thing I would look at for bringing something in that's a little bit different, isn't just a pizza or whatever. So that's another idea. I could come up with all kinds of ideas for
We're having fun with this.
exactly. Anyway, we did run over, so we will go ahead and stop talking about all our great ideas. But if you have questions on anything, email us or jump in the Facebook group and ask questions, and we will help you out there as well. And just have fun with your team this summer. Just remember how important they are to your business, and making sure that you're taking the time in the it can be stressful during the summer because it's so busy, but that's all the more reason to remember to step back and really make sure that your employees know how important they are to your business and to you as a business owner.